this afternoon, civil docket, field at a lower court. They have to, there's a lot of hurdles you gotta jump through in eviction cases. It's pretty fast timeline. If you don't do them exactly right, I lose jurisdiction. This one didn't get done exactly right, I don't think. Do something that would put us in jeopardy. No, sir, we don't. What's that? It's nice. See, that's you look at us always want to spend our money. Always with money. I can read County Judge Zoom on that. I mean, I'm good. Yeah, I can. There you go. Let's just need a bigger pipe. We don't need a bigger TV. You can tell budget time's coming up. It's almost March 1st. Yeah, except for your budget, except for the budget. So, man.
Right now, they have a surplus.
All right, well, who's gonna give the invocation this morning? Tom, you have to give the invitation when we get around to it. And you know what happens sometimes. Make sure it is 28th. We're supposed to be here.
I can tell you what the balance short.
There you go. Almost there, folks.
Anybody knows how that was already? I'm just trying to figure out the help cost.
I don't think we ever made anybody that mad before they had to fly in a helicopter just to before, maybe. We're just waiting for the official time to start.
And so you can. Sure.
They'll do that. They'll do that sometimes. 60 seconds.
I give you good credit. He did.
That was good. Don't worry No, it may make me closer. I'm not. Like the bird with the range that we have.
Two deals in solar.
Well, don't worry, they'll muster a group here shortly. I'm not worried about that. We won't be lonely for long.
Okay, Jenny used to see. I'm
already feeling sick for that meeting. Yeah, we are gonna start now. All right. At this point, we're gonna call this meeting of the Hill County Commissioners Court to order this Tuesday, February the 28th, 2023. Let the record reflect the meeting of this notice of this meeting was posted last Friday in accordance with Texas Government Code 551, better known as Texas Open Meetings Act. This meeting is being simulcast. We're both in person and online. And has anybody signed up by 8 o'clock this morning to speak? Nope. All right, good deal. At this time, before we have any undertaking, if we can invoke the blessing of the Almighty, Mr. Cameron, can you lead us in a word and then we'll do the pledge?
Bless you, Lord. Father, we want to thank you, Lord, for the privilege of being able to meet together. God, I ask that you just give wisdom to these men, business that they have to do for this county. We ask your blessing on them. God, we ask you for special blessing on Kyle Cox, Lord. He needs your hand right now. So we just ask you to for your hand to heal. We ask you to bless this day in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Tom. If all me pledge the American and second flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to these texts, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, thank you all for being with us here this morning. Now, Commissioner Holcomb, what's happening in Hill County Precinct 1 today?
Well, we are continuing to put rock on the roads, we're having problems with quality.
Okay.
I, rekindled a relationship with Arnold's Crush Bone,
Yes, sir.
and it was very good, very smooth.
Okay.
He really wanted to work with the precinct. And we got our first 3 loads and it was all fines.
Oh,
So I
boy.
called him and he was very embarrassed about that.
Imagine.
And he was gonna eat those invoices.
Okay.
And we went to another load, got the pit supervisor
Mhm.
who he put us in contact with. And they loaded us out again. And we got to the road and it was the same, different pot.
Oh,
So, and he calls it state grade. Number 1, number 2,
yeah.
but there's just not any rock in it.
Mm.
It won't hold up, so we're going back to Connors is the
Understood.
stone around it. Costs us a lot of time and fuel. But rattling us down again. And could be for, who knows,
Okay.
but
The crusher they got's a bit of an antique, ain't
it
it?
is, they have to mill parts for it every time you need.
I thought somebody told me before.
You know, it's a shame that they have a good product. And they keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah, and I talked to Chuck, the guy that runs that,
Yes, sir.
and I asked him to move to another vein because the rock started.
Mhm.
It's been inferior quality. And I don't think he has the desire to.
Gotcha.
We'll just keep pulling out Connors and bite the bullet.
I understand. Next, thanks for that. What's happening in precinct 2 this morning, Hill County?
Well, Holland Rock, but we go to Connor because it's closer for us. It's probably 30 miles further for us to run the Blum and that. But there's a couple of things. Trash. I took pictures of 4 different locations yesterday. A couch, a dozen tires, a couple of mattresses, another remnants of a mattress. And I sent them to Mr. Ward and said he'd take care of it. And I appreciate Mr. Ward doing that. And signs
Stealing signs again?
are gone. I mean, they're pulling the poles up and laying them on the ground. And then they take the signs off and they disappear, and stop signs, and it's ridiculous. The other thing, speed. I'm getting a lot of complaints about speed on the county roads that, there's not much we can do about it with the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit. I quizzed Mr. Jim Allison at the conference last week, asked him about it. Well, it's the same thing you've been telling me for
Sorry.
8 years.
I was hoping he'd have a better answer.
Well, I was hoping, and that we do, we got to post every road, every hearing on it, and then they do it that way, but that's a lot of roads, but other than that, I'm done.
Well, I'm glad to hear this cheery and bright in precinct 2. What's happening in precinct 3 this morning?
That same thing, all the rock, got some brush. Picked up 4 couches yesterday, so I feel your pain.
Couch season, okay.
I've got a few more if you like.
No.
There's a real good one under I-35 at 310.
Okay.
And
Well, that one over there behind the dam is not real nice. It's missing
no,
those sections. Saw it this weekend.
yeah,
If it was out, keep it out of the weather.
they keep the weather out of the weather.
Yeah. Same thing.
Don't change, does it? Yeah. Mr. Lake, what's going on in precinct 4 this morning?
Oh, we're good. In the north end of the precinct, trying to get everything ready. We've got bulldozer running, trying to clear out and get ready so Encore can finally, after all these weeks of messing with them, can finally maybe get their lines in, and the people that are been waiting for 8 or 9 months for power to their new homes can get power.
Wow. Okay, well, I appreciate you getting that done for them. So
Well, it's been interesting.
I can only
We
imagine.
started in before Thanksgiving. So.
Don, what's going on emergency management this week?
It's a lot of these projects. This is problem. And people are hurtful. I mean, we're trying to get the pricing and the generator here, nobody was calls back. I mean, we literally just wasted a day just waiting for people to call us back. I was like, they're just gonna do it. We got some, we did meet with our board of Chris last week. Hopefully that's gonna start moving forward fairly soon. That's all we can do is hope. It's like if your name comes up on there to do this today, you get to do it. If it's not on there to do this, they don't know. What to do.
Understood. We're asking for a favor. They've offered. It'll take some time. We'll bureaucracy. Scott, what's happening in the sheriff's office?
Well, we finally we hired in a while back, Deputy Knight, he's from northern Texas. He has been, we hired him in all along, he's been helping out, just really very used to that, as a transport deputy, so we're fine with the back here, bringing us back up to 5, and we're still in one full tax office, but it's difficult to hire.
I appreciate you bringing Deputy Knight. He's been a joy to work with so far.
Good. Other than that, just been hiring folks, and
There you go. Justin, what's happening with the constables this morning?
Small last week, one, yesterday, we were forward to see the office last day.
Imagine it'll be nice and busy. Philip, what's going on in IT?
We found that internet, what the next time that internet with the new Aglock building, getting coordinated with Zach on that. I think I finally rattled enough cages at AT&T to get them to port the numbers out of that. So
You can steal my heart. All right.
I'm still waiting on a confirmation date.
Yeah, okay. I won't hold my breath.
I spoke to him yesterday, and he said the orders were submitted.
Okay.
We have the vendor who installed these security cameras and the access control system. He's coming out Thursday morning, 9 a.m. We're gonna meet with him. I've met with him once already, and kind of, he's showing us those systems, they're a cloud-based system, so I hope.
Correct. It's going to go in Covington, and then as we go out, we're going to use that same cloud-based system. I imagine what we talked about previously in this building, in 218 North Waco, wherever we go forward, putting security systems in, trying to, instead of having multiple, under one roof if we can.
When he came out last time, the internet connection was not working, so he was not able to fully demo, show us everything. Now, out there, we should be able to. That would be happening, you can lock or unlock doors.
Really?
So now that's that. to be there, that-
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Any other appointed or elected official got anything you want to share with us? ESD number 1, anything going on, guys? Oh, wow. That's a pretty big jump.
You don't have.
Yes, sir. That is true. That is true. All right. Well, on our end, number 1, a general public service announcement. It is planting season, ladies and gentlemen. If you find yourself out on the FM roads, some state highways, I hope not the interstate, please watch out for tractors with large equipment on them. These planters, this equipment, it gets bigger every year. It's good for the farmers. It's good for us. But at the same time, just slow down a little bit, give a little grace on those county roads out there. This morning I was doing 60 on FM 1304 and somebody passed me between the 2 curbs at Menlo, which if you understand anything about that, about the distance across this courthouse is between the 2 curbs. Individual had to be doing 25, 30 miles an hour greater than me with my doors off. So take your life in your own hands. Don't kill someone else though. Otherwise, we're getting close to the end on the AgriLife project. As you heard, internet's in. They've got, Mr. Gersh has loaned them the trailer from the constable so they can start moving stuff over. They've been moving equipment, seed, things like that over for the last week or so, but we're gonna get full blown this week and hopefully Friday into, if the weather holds, that is. Yes, sir.
He texted me yesterday, said we're done.
Oh, are they? Okay, that's yesterday. Okay, I hadn't checked up with them as of the end of the day. So anyway, getting that moved in. Once they're moved in, we'll bring the construction company back in to do touch up, you know, if you bang a desk into a wall or something like that, move it in there. Covington, they have the pole set, as I understand it, and that has been what we've been waiting on from Encore to get that pole set. So now that it's set, we can lay the utilities in the ground to it, the conduit that goes in. Encore has to come back and inspect it to make sure they like it. Once they do that, we hook it up and that puts electricity in the new part of the building. And that's what we've been waiting on, is to cut that over so we can do some finish up work in there. That's really slowed us down on that project. A lot of concrete work happening over there between the weather. So that continues to progress. Otherwise, we had a great meeting last Friday with the fine folks from Texas Division of Emergency Management. We found out about some grant money that we may have left on the table if we didn't have that meeting. And so I know Commissioner Holcomb, I know the Emergency Management Coordinator Hemrick are working to figure out ways to get more of that money that's already been allocated by FEMA for the 2018 disaster, but make sure that we can bring those monies back into our coffer. So all that being said and done, it's going to be a good week to have a good week. That being said, at this time, is there anybody here for open forum that would like to address the court about anything that's not on our agenda? If you would, please limit your comments to about 3 to 5 minutes in duration. As we respect you, please show respect to the court. Yes, ma'am. If you identify yourself. Oh, no, tell me what you got.
Precinct 6.
The precinct, no, there's 4 precincts. This is a commissioners meeting. Yes, ma'am. Where do you live at?
I live on, but it's got Tris.
You, right? Trestitas? No, that's you. Precinct 4. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is my cause. When we call residents out there that live out there, when we call even for police service, or we had a dog that was dead. I'm over the water company.
Okay.
Somebody dumped a dead dog right here. So I call the animal control. Every time we call the county, they'll tell us that's not our precinct. And so we just want to know what it means that we have a problem with. I had a snake in my house for 4 days. This month. And the police had to come out. The snake might be still in there. That was a year ago.
Oh, good Lord.
I called them and then they said they was gonna come, and they did come. 4 days later, here come the police. But then when we call, they say, that's not our precinct. We can't do it again. You know, the people out there with this, they say private property. And we want to know why is it described as private property? Well, the man that, I'm trying to hurry, the man that.
Let's look, take your time.
that wanted to make it into subdivision, that's right.
Okay.
And when he changed, put it into the subdivision, everybody out there own their own land. So is it still considered a subdivision?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I need to sit down and look at that. And if you can hang around till after court or you want to come back, I'd love to sit down and have this conversation with you. I don't know much about that situation, so I don't want to say something that's untrue or give you the wrong idea. But I'd be happy to sit down and look at that with you and see what we can come to, what conclusions.
So yeah, like I heard him talking about dumping, we have to, anything here, this count in there, didn't want thing and.
Yeah.
Tires all.
People dumping trash on you.
Betters out to the customers out there that know, we got cameras and we caught one.
Good.
And it stopped for a while, but now it's somebody that comes to commode right in to the road. Now we pay county tax,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't get nothing. They come out there, they put asphalt on the road and go ahead and pull over. Where ice come in, we got a whole swimming pool.
We can look into what we can and can't do out there for sure. Love to speak with you about it. Thank you. Trustee subdivision, she said?
That's the corresponding.
Yeah, and there's some city limits out there. I don't know if it's in the city out, it's an ETJ. I don't know the answer to that. It's a private road. It's not even a county maintained road. Oh, that solves part of the problem. Oh, is it? It's okay.
It's what?
It's not, it's private roads. So whoever built that subdivision, they didn't go about it correctly and get the county to take in maintenance. So we can only legally maintain those roads we have a legal right to. So if we don't have a legal right to, I mean, the commissioner could go to jail for misappropriation of county funds. What I'm being told is the Tres Vita subdivision is not in the county maintenance map, so we don't have a legal right to go maintain those roads. That doesn't mean we can't offer police service out there. I mean, we can offer sheriff's office, constables, things like that. But as for road maintenance, that's the reason there's nothing getting done with the road. It's not in the county maintenance systems, what I'm being told.
Okay, well, we got the water company. I take the roads myself,
Okay,
you know. But, I'm not fixing the roads. Well, I was at one time. We got people that move out there and they are leaving their deeds when it already exists.
mhm.
And they put poles in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
And I called the police. And first they said, well, we got to, well, look, we pay county taxes, I need to talk to somebody. I need somebody out there. So he came out, he said, well, I don't know what I can do because, you know, this is a private road and I don't know if you can put, I said, he don't have, can he show you, we have proof that in the middle of this road is his?
Yes. Okay. If you'll hang around, it's the chief deputy for the county. He'll be able to give you some answers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for letting us know about the problem. Anybody else for open forum this morning? Going once, going twice. We're going to move into the consent agenda. All right. We have on the consent agenda action on minutes, action on invoices, action on payroll, action on monthly report for revenue and disbursement, forgive me, and observe and or record elected officials training certificates. I put that up there at the top, or had them put it up top of the agenda. We're having a lot of those training certificates. I'm proud of everybody. If you want to toot your own horn, I'm good with that. But I can't put an individual item for each one of them. We'll be here until, 1 or 2 o'clock every day. But I'm really proud of the amount of training that our elected officials go to and get each year. That knowledge helps us tremendously that you guys bring back from these conferences. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion is second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? If there's, I'll take anything off and discuss it individually if we need to. In your packet, or you would have emails from the treasurer's office the other night that had all this in it. Hearing no discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motions will carry. I'm going to start passing around the orders. Yes, ma'am, minutes. Being told to sign these. Right. Mr. Parker, you are getting a good bit of training here recently. That's good. That's a good deal. Nothing wrong learning. Okay, as we move to court orders, I'm going to indulge my privilege to move something to the front. And that's number 13 is what I want to discuss first. The reason for that is the gentlemen have to go to a pipeline safety class this morning and a drone class, emergency management. So number 13 is discuss and approve Hill County Radio System primary user agreement and fees. Mr. Jackson, what you got going on today?
Over the course of being watching over big things, the county's having to maintain the radio system used by everybody. Well, now with this new system, we get the ability to kind of maintain that a little better, I think. And that's, we're not trying to recover funds already spent, but we're trying to sustain it for the future. So what the idea is anyone that uses the system that is not a Field County entity, meaning paid by Field County.
So sheriff, constables, emergency management, if you're outside of that, you're another police force, you're another political subdivision. Okay, you'll.
Then you'd be subject to a user.
Okay.
Now, the user fee is the lowest that we have found in the state of Texas. So what we're proposing is $15 per radio or $7 per fee on device. Fee on device is using it on your cell phone, your desktop, stuff like that. And what this does is allows us to, the antenna gets struck by lightning. We need to buy a radio to replace the amplifier, or later on down the road, we need to buy another site we will have a fund to pull that from instead of having to ask for emergency funding, having to budget a obscene amount of money. Yes, sir.
Is that a one-time thing?
It is,
No.
no, it's paid $50 per radio per month,
Okay.
paid yearly. Yes, so it'd be by the budget year, so come, if this is approved, and come October, we would send any of these entities a notice saying, hey, you have this many radios on our system, this is how much money you're subject to paying. And then when they send us that money, the biggest catch to this project that we're asking for is we're asking the board to allow us to roll that money over each year. So if there's $10,000 in it this budget year, then that money will roll over next year. And if it's $20,000 next year, that money will roll over to the next year.
Basically creating a special fund like we do for a couple other things. Most of those are by statute, but how your individual budgets, you don't finish it in a year, you start off with that beginning balance. Everybody else in the general fund, whatever we don't use goes back in the general fund and it gets reallocated for the next year. The radio maintenance is significant. It's a very, very significant cost, and we've ate it for years when not a whole lot of counties do that, especially for as many entities as we have. We are going to lay out just about $1.75 million, almost $1.8 million on this radio system. Now, almost all that's grant funding. That's great, but that's one-time funding. That's capital inputs to get us where we are. We have ongoing costs that are going to be higher than the old analog systems, the old digital systems. And to do that and to participate in the 21st century, it costs more money sometimes. Again, this is not something we would have been able to contemplate, even if it hadn't been for certain grant funds we got. But in order to keep moving the project forward, we're going to have participation from the entities in some of the costs. So we've looked around at what like entities charge that are in our position that have a core, and what do they charge other users. We looked at some people that charged as high as 35, but we thought that was excessive.
Philly County charges $27 per radio, and North Texas charges from $30 to $37.
And we looked at what our costs are. Again, we don't have to amortize the entire cost like a business does because we're able to pull it in as grant money. But we think that's a fair number going forward, is those will be some of our maintenance costs from year to year. You look at the two towers, we help maintain Laguna Park Tower. I know it's technically in Bosque County, but we have equipment on it. It's to our benefit to make sure everything works over there. We have maintenance contracts for generators. Both those towers are affected by that. We have a contract that we spend several $1,000s a year because I'm no longer willing to climb radio towers to replace lights. That's not true. I was never willing to climb radio towers to replace a light. But nobody here. Tom said he ain't climbing again. He's done. He got a scratch in his arm and he's over. So we have a lot of ongoing costs about these things that aren't going to get any cheaper. And as equipment ages, it has to be replaced. We're going to have expenditures down the road. We can see them, look, 10 years, these radios, these servers that are basically radios, they'll be end of life. We'll have to replace them. In order to do that, we're going to have to start putting money together now for those costs. So if we plan ahead, take a little bite of this elephant each year, we'll have something there when that time comes forward.
Just one thing too, we haven't back after this year, maintenance on this. We haven't got signed a contract with Daily Wells to provide maintenance. This will help cover the cost of that. Of course, running in, it's all brand new. There's not all the things got it. Daily Wells, they're not in the system doing the summer. Everybody knows both. And we're getting very close. But this would just kind of offset that cost. The county should not be covered full cost for the prayer. That's the main thing.
I agree. No, and you're right. In most places, it's not. So we're not trying to sink anybody's ship. We want everybody on board with the system. It'd be great if they can. We understand the expenses. It's an expense. Everybody's got it. So we've got to make plans accordingly. But what we're trying to do is create a first-class radio system, public safety communication system that can work anywhere in this county. And we don't have those times anymore where we know we're deputy's going to go in a dark place where, hey, you got to call dispatch and let them know you're going down here. If we hadn't heard from you in 15 minutes, then we send the cavalry. That's not a way to police.
It's going to discourage anybody.
Just like
So far, no.
the biggest thing for that too is, I know Commissioner, but the biggest thing with that is the VHF system has an end date. The end date hasn't been established yet, but it has an end date. And it's not going to be improved now that we have this new system. So it's not, it may discourage some, but the end result is eventually they're gonna have to.
I know in the 16 years I've sat in this chair, we went from federal decrees, we went from wideband to narrow band. And then we had to start buying all P22 or digitally compliant radios with our grant funds because they're going digital. The publicly available bands are going to continue to shrink down. And I think we made a good choice at the time we did it. But yeah, I think in the long run, there's no avoiding everybody's going to have to wind up on this system or something similar to it. And the cost of doing it on their own would just be outstanding. You know, it's better if we all work together and try to find a way to move forward.
And the biggest,
Do you have a sense for what the magnitude of that is?
as
As far as revenue on an annual basis?
Not exactly. I mean, the only numbers I can do it off of was Hillsborough. So Hillsborough purchased, I want to say it was 80 or 90 radios, and that was about $50,000. That one agency. It's all going to depend upon the size of the quantity of radios they have. Is beyond tied in with those radios? Is it just solely RF? Well, it just depends on what the entities do.
We have some guesses of what the numbers will look like, but they're not hard and fast at this point. I would not build a budget around those numbers at this point. I think as we get closer to the summer and we get some participation, we'll have a better idea, but I still caution that anything we put out for a budget estimate for this next year, until we've got 12 months behind us, we're really kind of guessing at what this is going to look like. But we know that there are ongoing costs. You know, so the radio to light, that's on top of the tower. That's $3,500 a year for that contract alone, plus X number of dollars every time they climb it. So you hear 15,000, think, well, that's a lot of money, but then you go into our generator maintenance and that's 6,900 a year. You know, those things, it builds real quick. It's pretty easy to get a pretty big number underneath you.
Just to touch one more thing, the problem is that once users start seeing the benefit of the other system, I think that will outweigh what they're, no one's gonna like it. No one's gonna. But when they get the benefit of the reception, the quality of the audio, and then the fact that, you know, there's the biggest thing is security distance. The Bosque County had a radio get stolen and interfered with their communications for an entire day. If on the 800 system, if that happened, you call and say, hey, this radio is messing up. I said, okay, I looked at the system, I can deactivate it. It's called breaking. It makes that radio completely disabled. They can't turn it off and back on. It's disabled.
We can still track where it's at.
So there's a lot more pros out there.
Your Honor, we met with Chris yesterday, so we're looking at a $15,000 for what we would need for. The one thing that I read in the article was attached to the agenda, that you also have the right to have additional increases on exceeding year. You have an idea of what those increases are going to be, and there's going to be a cap put on it. So
We don't know what it is, but do we ever see it going double? No, that's not going to happen to you. You know, those are conversations we have to have with everybody, because it's not us telling you how it's going to be. It's a cooperation between parties. We understand there's other options out there that you guys could go a different way with radios. We also know that we have the best solution, so we'd like to find ways what's workable for both parties. We're doing a lot of guesswork up front, but we're not going to be hijacking things. You look at how we lower the tax rate most years. I'm not promising we'll lower the fee, but I don't see us going up significantly on it. That's just not how we do business. So, and if we have a major project coming up, or if something looks like that might have to happen, you'll hear from us months in advance. We understand that you have a budget just like we do. You set that budget at this point in the year and trying to anticipate all these other things. We're going to be very cognizant of that. If we think that, hey, this isn't just doing the trick at 15, we got to go to 17 or 18 or whatever it is. We want to have those conversations early in the year before your budget time and let you know, this is what we're looking at. Here's what the problems are. If you see any solutions we're not seeing. I think by working together, we can keep those costs fairly low for all parties. And the other thing too, is more parties participate, you know, the less we have to worry about having financial resources.
Yes, sir. We had a good conversation.
Sorry.
Does that include the active 911 phones using now the system?
I don't understand the question.
He's talking about the yearly costs on the per radio and had beyond. He's saying active
Yeah.
911.
maybe I don't understand the correlation.
It's not part of this system, no, sir.
It won't be part of-
No, sir. It's two separate.
I've got 160.
Yeah, no. That's,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm looking at it. I've
okay.
radios and that's for us.
Yes, sir.
And I totally agree. Because I've been through all the radio stuff for several years.
Yeah.
And we need some kind of a system to keep it repaired and operation. I just hope that it has the coverage that we want it to have and everything else.
Think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Our cell phones don't work all over this county, so. But I'm for resolution.
Okay. And I'll just let everybody else know, there's school districts are looking to participate. One school district just south of Hillsborough contacted me yesterday. I got to get back with them, wanting to know about radios. I'm going to put Bynum in touch with you. I'll give you contact information about that after I talk to the superintendent. But there's interest. There's a lot of interest from maybe parties that normally wouldn't have had interest in a VHS system because the way this thing is set up, there's not unlimited talk groups, but next to what more than we'll ever use. So when we go and looking at school safety and the ability to communicate some of these rural areas, just like Mr. King Goins pointed out, cell phones don't work everywhere in Hill County. There's no one cell phone provider that does. And trying to keep these kids safe in these rural schools means communications for us. And this is a step forward in that as well. So
Probably gonna be some grant money for that.
one would think out of this session, but when the circus is, I'm sorry, when the legislature's open, you never know what's going to happen. So anyway, yes, ma'am, Ms. Parker. I nominate the radio administrator. We'll have to set up a program where it works best for all parties. And when do we want this to be effective by? Okay, so this won't be effective until October 1 of this year. I love it when we get so far in advance of something that we have time to deal with things. Appreciate that. So yeah, so we have some time then through the budget process to do it. So what we're asking right now is just the user agreement. So item 13 in front of you today, commissioners, is as follows: discussion approve Hill County Radio System primary user agreement and fees. We understand that we're taking the brunt of it right now. Nobody budgeted for this last year. So we're putting this out now before budget time in order for the entities to put it in their budgets, trying to be good partners with everybody.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve
My
the,
understanding from talking to Chris, he has to set each radio up.
yes, he's
And
got,
so he'll know exactly, and if somebody doesn't pay, he can cut them off right then.
Mhm.
So-
Yeah.
So maybe.
With the digital clarity, we would never do that.
yeah, yeah, we're not,
You get any notices for that?
yeah, we're not gonna,
Yesterday.
yeah.
That's right.
We got to remember that, priority is public safety. We can worry about the administrative part of that on the back end. So I have a motion and a second to approve the Hill County Radio System primary user agreement and fees. Is there any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. If you've got to go, Chris, thank you for the presentation. You be safe out there. Let's go back to court order, and that's number one, is discussion and approve employee wage status changes for this date. You have a copy of this, user agreement. It's a simple user agreement. We have for this date new hires. There we go. We have Ms. Marcia Hooch at the Sheriff's Office. Welcome aboard, Assistant for Operations. New hire in the Jail Administrative Assistant, Mr. Sean Moore. Appreciate him coming on. Randy Fagley is moving into new hire in the jail. Mr. James Upchurch is new jailer. We appreciate all those folks. We have some wage status changes. We have Courtney Phillips at the Sheriff's Office has got their FTO training behind him, so that pay scale goes up. Jesse Chilton also is adding the FTO, field training officer and acting supervisor. Mr. Hunter Eaton is moving out of the supervisory position, so his salary is adjusted accordingly. Shane Hooten has got a skilled pay for the field training officer spot, or has been still training. Miss Christine Holt is again added to FTO specialized skills pay. And we have, yep, that's all of them. Nope. I thought there was more. We have some people that moved on to greener pastures here. So we have Mr. Joshua Scholes. He's moved on. Best of luck to him. Miss Ashley Shirley again has moved on to greener pastures. Those are the wage status changes for this date.
Make a motion for.
I have a motion and a second to approve the aforementioned wage and status changes for the 28th day of February 2023. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any discussion? Motion carries. Number 2 and number 3 are individually. I have to put them on the agenda individually, but they're same idea. And that's what Commissioner Crumpton was talking about earlier. And that's discussed and approved setting a public hearing to impose a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit sign on Hill County Road 2210. We've had some requests from people out there to put this speed limit on it. This is a road that goes from FM 933 to FM 2114, and people use it as a cut across. And man, they use it like a race car track at times. So what I'd like to do is propose that we set a meeting on the 28th day of March of this year, public hearing, not a meeting. That's our regular Commissioners Court meeting. That gives us 30 days from the day to get everything posted, more than enough time. But to have a public hearing to impose that 35-mile-an-hour speed limit on Hill County Road 2210. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Commissioner. You're Commissioner.
I would like to put a 30. But
Can't go below it without some other things.
35.
Yeah.
Because it's that major cut through from 1304 to 2114. And,
I'm sorry, 1304, 2114. I said 930.
you know, it's just like Hill Lane. 2016, 17 is the major cut through road.
Yeah.
And if I do that, might as well do Hill Lane also.
Yeah, I mean, we can,
I'll go ahead and post.
we got to put it on the agenda
Yeah.
to do that. So what I'll do is I'll put that on our next agenda, Hill County Road HCR 2216, post a 35-mile-an-hour, discussing our action on setting a public hearing on posting that. So we have to take action to set the hearing, let the world know what we're going to do, then have the hearing and take any for or against. And this is for speed limits, stop signs, yield signs, you name it. And then after that hearing, we can take action if we choose to do so.
Well, I'll go ahead and I'll get 2210 posted.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve setting a public hearing to impose a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit sign on Hill County Road 2210. That public hearing, to be held at the last regular meeting of the Hill County Commissioners Court in March of 2023, which would be March 28th. What's that? Correct, we do, yes, sir. And I've got a previous announcement we've drafted. I'll share that with you after I get it drafted. So motion and second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 3, again, like I said, number 2 is discuss and approve setting a public hearing regarding installing a stop sign at the intersection of 2207 and 2210. This is the road that comes off of 933 and bisects 2210. We used to call it New Road over there. And, anywho, it needs a stop sign. People are, yeah. Okay. Motion and a second to set a public hearing regarding installing a stop sign at the intersection of Hill County Road 2207 and HCR 2210. Public hearing to be held the 28th day of March 2023. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 4, discuss and approve to appoint Mr. John Sawyer to the Investment Committee as public member. As you know, we have an investment committee. It's required that we have a public member. Mr. Jim Hadaway has given us many, many years of wonderful service. Jim's health is getting in the way of him doing everything he wants to at this time. I just want to say how much we appreciate Jim and him sharing his wealth of knowledge with us over the years. But we need to go ahead and fill that seat at this time. And we have reached out to Mr. John Sawyer, a local businessman and school board member here in Hillsborough, and he has agreed to do that as long as we don't get him into anything done. So,
Make a motion.
all right, motion and second to appoint Mr. John Sawyer to the Hill County Investment Committee as a public member. Call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, we need to do this annually, and it did not happen last year. It got pointed out by Ms. Rachel Parker and Mr. Steve Bro, which is good to have new eyes on things. And that is the investment policy. So we need to have an investment policy. We currently are operating under one about 2 years old. I personally believe we need to look at this every year, whether it's just changing the dates or not. We need to review it and make sure this still reflects what's in the best interest of the Hill County taxpayer. So we have gone through this investment policy, and it is almost identical to the previous year's policies. No major changes in the law to change the scope of this document. We updated it, and what I'm showing you is the signatures of the investment committee. We have met, we have looked at this document, and we recommend this document for the Commissioners Court approval. Yes, ma'am. Okay, good with that? Okay, good. Thank you so much. Appreciate that point now.
Motion.
All right, motion is second to approve the Hill County investment policy for for fiscal year 2023. I'll get the words out sooner or later. Everything gets crammed right here. Can't get any further. All right, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Right. Number 6. All right, every 2 to 4 years, well, every 2 years, we can go out for depository bid, or we must go out for depository bid. If we have an active depository, after the 2-year mark, we can actually choose just to stay with that depository, and at year 4, go out for bid, which we've done. This is a year we need to go out for a depository bid. The auditor's office was kind enough to do this, so I didn't have to, and I appreciate that. And he has put together an invitation to bid, and that's the bid title is a bank depository contract. It will solicit a new sub-depository. It could be the same folks we're using now. I don't know. We just have to solicit it. It could be somebody new. So we have a bid deadline of being in the bids need to be in by March the 20th at 3 p.m. and we will open said bids on March the 20th at 3:15 p.m. You go through here. It's a nice little RFP. It lays out what we're in search of, how we're going to evaluate it, how the evaluation process works, our insurance requirements, those kind of things. It further gives you specifications for the bank depository contract, and it's a well done RFP, quite frankly. So we've included a bid worksheet with it so we can compare apples to apples. They don't just send us a pile of paperwork and go here, you figure it out. I like that. And there's questions about this. We have a date for what is the question date? Final day for questions or the pre-bid? Yes, March 16th. So with March 16th will be the pre-bid conference. It's not mandatory, but if any party is looking to bid on this and need more information, we'll hold a conference that day to answer questions. Any questions we answer, obviously, we will post to the general public. I would like to ask that we approve the invitation to bid for bank depository contract. Okay, got it. All right, further discussion? This is such a riveting subject, everybody. Okay. All right, in which case I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion shall carry. Thank you very much. Ayes have it, the noes know it. Number 7, observe and record Hill County CPS Board Treasurer's Report for January 23. These are wonderful folks who do a great job for the abused and neglected children of Hill County. I had some good conversations with them earlier. April, coming up, not next month, which tomorrow's next month, but April is historically our Child Abuse Awareness Month in Hill County. We'll be having our Go Blue Day. We'll have some other things that make media attention to what we're seeing in the way of child abuse in this county and how we're dealing with it. But our CPS Treasury Board report for January 23 shows that they have total liabilities and equities of $47,091.67 and current assets of $47,991.67. Income for the month of $56.83, public donations of $25, so a total income of $81.83 for the month. Expenses, of course, so this is a lot of that Christmas stuff we do for those children that are out of their homes, was a little higher because the Christmas gifts with $1,598.98. So total expense for the month with some other facilities and closet equipment cost was $1,798.98. Leaves them in a very, very good place financially, and we appreciate all they do. Is there a motion to observe and record?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion and second to observe and record the Hill County CPS Board Treasurer's Report for January 23. Any further discussion?
16,000 negative for Hill County. What does that include?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm going to meet with those folks this next week to try to get a handle on why that is. Their overall depositories are good, but why that has a negative in front of it, I'm not certain. But that is for December of 22. I don't get that. Number 8, this is discuss or take action on M.A. Mortison Company's plans to construct a solar project near Carl's Corner, Texas. Anybody here from M.A. Mortison?
Yes, this is Ben
All
Maples.
right, go ahead, Mr. Maples.
Thank you
Can you
very
turn on
much.
your camera for us?
Yes, I certainly can. Give me a second here.
Thank you.
There, is that coming in clear for you?
It is. Go ahead. What can we do for you today?
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the time here. We are the contractor. We will be constructing the Hill Solar project just northeast of Carl's Corner. Part of that, we have the ownership of the design of that project. So part of the design is to comply to codes and regulations. The way the current state code is that we need to adhere by International Building Code 2015, which is now a little bit outdated. That International Building Code refers back to specifications in 2010 that have been updated. So what we're really looking to do here is get confirmation from the court that we can use current updated information from 2016, which is the most recent information available. And that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good. You can take my attorney's word for it in the future, though. So when we tell you that we don't have the regulatory authority, we're not making that up. We don't not want to do it. I'd love to have that regulatory authority over you because it would make life difficult for all of us. And so I'm being facetious when I said I'd love to have it. I don't want it, but nobody has it. So when it comes down to it, I hope that you guys build to the highest and newest standard for what is in your industry. And the state may have somebody that regulates this, but they don't give that authority to the counties. So we're not allowed to regulate it. I'm glad to hear that you would like to put a more strict code, a newer code in your construction aspects. We definitely appreciate that. We like knowing that people are building things that are sound, structurally sound, and won't cause us grief. When the wind picks up, they don't go flying about and going into other people's yards and homes. So, but no, as much as we get asked the question, unfortunately, the state does not give us authority to regulate that. So it would be correct if we don't have any way to inspect it for you.
Okay, so the way I have understood it and the way we have dealt with this in other counties is that
Yes,
the county judge and the AHJ does have, or it's our, what we've been told is that they have the authority to provide county specific regulations, and that would be something that could be approved by the county if necessary. Now, if that's something that Hill County is saying they cannot do, then that's understood.
Well, I ain't the sharpest lawyer around, but I can't find it in the code where we have that. My attorney over here is a fairly sharp guy. He can't find it in the code where we have that. I'm not saying they're doing things wrong in other counties, but there's 254 ways to screw up county government at a minimum in this state. So what I'm telling you is I'm not aware of any legal authority that I have to do so. We're happy that you're building it to a higher standard. We encourage you to do so for everybody's sake, including your own. But overstepping my bounds and telling you I can do X, Y, or Z, or approving something that has no legal bearing on it. I could tell you anything and sign a document, but if I don't have a specific grant of authority from the state of Texas, it's not going to be worth the paper it's written on. That's about it. So we're happy that you guys are coming this way, I guess, and I'm happier that the construction company is going to apply the highest possible standard to it. But anything further than that, I'm sorry, I can't really give you a hand with it.
Understood completely. I'll take that back with the owner of the project as well.
Okay.
To provide that information for them, just to have them understand the position that we are in and we'll need to construct the project to.
And if you do find an authority, and Mr. Mabel, if you found an authority, myself or my attorney admits, don't be afraid to send it to me. I won't be mad at you, I promise. But we've looked for this for some time because this question has come up in the past more than once. We can't seem to find any authority. But if you come across something from some other county, don't be afraid to ship it to us. I'll be happy to look at it. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first guy to admit in this court on this video that I'm wrong. But I don't think I'm going to be on this one, to be frank with you. Yeah, but we do need a road use agreement. So you asked about what I can regulate. So I do have some regulatory authority when it comes to county roads. We'll need to get that in place. The other regulatory authorities we can exert, TCEQ put upon us to do the on-site septic facilities. If you're building a bathroom out there, and I don't know that you are, you would have to permit that through the county. The other thing is 911 addressing. Mrs. Karen McClendon, who's on this call this morning, you are required to have a posted sign of your 911 address to your entrance to your facilities. It's simply so that we can get emergency services there in a hurry if something bad were to happen. Those are the main things to regulate. And of course, last but not least, we regulate the floodplain administration. Mr. Tom Hemrick, who had to leave a minute ago, is the floodplain administrator for Hill County. So if you have questions regarding any of those things, we can clearly help you out. But as for building codes and imposition of building codes in the unincorporated areas, there's quite a few things I'd like to change about how we do business, and seriously, that is one of them. There's some substandard structures out there.
Yeah, I understand completely. And to all the points that you have brought up, we are well in process of getting those underway. Road use agreements, 911 address, all of those standard for us, and we will be getting those in place. They're all underway at the moment.
Great. Well, my office number is 254-582-4020. Do not hesitate to contact me or the county's attorney, Mr. David Holmes, and we'll assist you in what ways we can with those things.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Maples. Have a good day.
You too.
All right. So we're going to move along then to number 9, discuss and approve reimbursement of Longview Creek Ranch invoice. This was on here last time, and we'd had some mix-ups on communication. And what we have here is Rusty Simmons with Longview Creek Ranch Estates has put a request that we reimburse the amount of $200,093.73 be towards the road constructions that has happened, road and drainage, I should say, in the Longview Creek Ranch Estates. We are paying attention to that total amount here. I can see from the math on the bottom of the page. There's been a couple of payments made already. So the total they're requesting at this time is $200,973. I'll get it out sooner or later.
We know how much money they have left.
Little over 200.
Okay.
Yes, you're correct. This is an escrow account. This is one of those subdivisions whereby they wanted to go from the preliminary to a final plat without having all the construction done. So in order to protect the county, protect the taxpayers, avoid another situation like Tres Vitas where somebody does something untoward, because this happened in more than just Tres Vitas. There's a lot of bad subdivisions from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s in this county.
Painfully aware.
Yeah, unfortunately, you've got a lot of them. So this individual wants to go to start selling properties. Well, we won't allow you to sell properties, and state law doesn't allow you to have a final plat. This is our guarantee, this escrow account or a bond of some sort. We don't really do letters of credit here. I don't feel that that's a secure enough way to keep these people in check. So by making them take the engineer's estimate, which always tends to be a little high around here, of what it's going to cost to construct the roads and drainage. And once our county surveyor and engineer looks at it and says, yes, I agree with this, then we go before court, do the necessary motions to set up an escrow account, get the agreement. Once the account's been funded, then we'll allow it to come forward for approval on a final plat. If during construction they were to abscond or just throw their hands up and call CAFRO, now we have that money escrowed that we can use to get that product finished.
I assume since partial payment out of the escrow has been made, that someone has looked at the roads and signed off on that they're to our
Specifications, yes, sir. Good question, so. But what we're attempting to do is keep from repeating the mistakes that were made years ago. And those mistakes caused our citizens a lot of heartache. You've got a story right here in front of you. Unfortunately, the court abdicated its authority for years. We can't afford to do that any longer, now with as many people are moving in here. All right. Motion and a second to approve reimbursement of Longview Creek Ranch invoices from the Longview Creek Ranch escrow account. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? The motion shall carry. Pass that around. Number 11 is discuss and or approve for Hill County Commissioner Precinct Number 4 to enter into a master rental agreement with RDO for 2 John Deere crawler dozers. Man. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't want to be in the bulldozer business ever again.
Okay.
But I understand there's a need for bulldozers. Don't get me wrong. But if it has tracks, it's going to be a problem for you. I know, well, you know better than I do. So anywho, we'll skip number 10 then, and we'll move to number 11. That's discuss and approve a memorandum of understanding with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission Community Partner Program as community partner. As you well know, we have an indigent health system here in Hill County, indigent healthcare. We are required to budget 8% of our general fund to that each year. The state's requirement on this program is so tight that if you own a car, you can't qualify for this. And you got to own a car to get around Hill County. So when people come to us, we don't just go, oh, sorry, you don't qualify, go on your way. We try to find other ways to help them. What other resources are out there? So even though you can't participate in the county's program, what state or federal programs? As to a part of that, we partner with the Health and Human Services Commission of the state of Texas as a community partner. And we go through some trainings. Ms. April Cook does that as indigent healthcare coordinator. And those trainings try to show you where to send people if they can't qualify. And sometimes people come to help for us for stuff that's not really our bailiwick. We don't want to tell you, no, that's not our job. We want to tell you, well, we don't do that, but we know where you can go to get help. And this is who you need to go to. I don't like sending people away empty-handed that came to us for assistance. I think we're compelled, or at least I'm compelled as a Christian, to do what I can to make life easier for others in this short existence we all have. And part of that is trying to be more responsive when people come in and request assistance. So there's no big burden on the county. We previously, been under this agreement, this memorandum of understanding. There's nothing, it's a big change from the last time we did it, but do you gentlemen have any question about it? Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve approve a memorandum of understanding with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission and the Hill County, Texas under the Community Partner Program. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries this 28th day of February 2023. Now, I am giving you a copy of this I've signed, but I actually have to do this through DocuSign. Once I have that, they'll send back their countersigned copy and remind me I'll get that to you. Okay, number 12, discuss and approve one vehicle lease purchase agreement for 2022 model Chevy PPV Tahoe for the Hill County Sheriff's Department. I hear you're having all kinds of success with GM products lately.
So this car is actually more last of for my years budget. The problem is the computer chips and causing extensive delays. This is the last part from last budget of the previous. What happens is whenever it gets delivered, our vendor, American National, changes up the contract on that one, and so since the previously approved, we just need your approval so that you can sign that.
Quick question, not to complicate. Is there any trade-in on this vehicle?
Part of it is we're going to use some of the funds that we just did last time with the trade.
So that's a credit though. They already got the money. So it's not really a trade-in. Okay, so we don't have to worry about. And the only reason I asked that question, if there is going to be a trade in the future, no problem. We just need I'm going to note it better in these contracts. It's just something I think we need to do. But the only reason I was asking for that clarification is to forestall any bumps this next week. So no trade in. There's already a credit there though that we're going to take advantage of. Okay.
We do this every time these postings change that sign each squad car is sold separate contract number.
No, it makes sense. So okay. Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. And I'll just make sure that we're good to go, and I appreciate that. It's just when we do the trade-ins, sometimes in the past, I think it gets confusing because the time between the 2 points. You know, we originally did these contracts over 18 months ago, and then they couldn't deliver the vehicles, just, you know, and in 18 months, you start to forget, oh, wait a minute, what did we actually say? What did we do? Make sure we're all still on the same page. So, well, at least I forget, I'm getting old. So, all right. Anything further on this? If, all right, have a motion and a second to approve a one vehicle lease purchase agreement for a 2022 model Chevy PPV Tahoe for the Hill County Sheriff's Department. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Are they a good cheap toy for dogs?
Well, I haven't heard this one yet. No, I'm pretty certain now that I don't. You know what? I'm just gonna move along and we'll forget that. It even came up. Okay, number 14, discussion and approve a minor plat for Ruiz subdivision, the Ruiz subdivision, a minor plat. Minor plat being a truncated process that is or actually up to 3. It can be up to 3 divisions as long as the owner retains 25% of the original property. We have this minor plat in front of us. It has gone through previously the development committee, which is the committee that reviews plat. Where this thing is located is off of Farm to Market 2488 and Hill County Road 1421 Loop, up in your part of the world. Always, it never ends, man.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yeah. What we're doing, what they are doing here is basically a 1.825 acre tract that they're taking off of the corner of that property where the intersection of 2488 and 1420, HCR 1421. We have all the necessary signatures. It has the requirements. We've got the subdivision plat in front of us. I think these people are just building the house here and they've signed everything they need to sign. And we've got the necessary affidavits. We've got the tax certificates, wonderful. Making sure it's all here. I know we've looked at it previously, but I'm still double checking at this last moment. These folks are in that special utility district for water up there, and that's called Johnson County SUD. And Hilco is the project server on this thing. So that is the subdivision recommended for your approval.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Judge Lewis apparently, and second from Commissioner Lake to approve the minor plat. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. I'm going to, gentlemen, if you could, as this passes around, lower right-hand corner is a block. There's 2 of them. It's one, page 2. Number 15, discussion or action on setting a hearing regarding the creation of reinvestment zone pursuant to subchapter C 312, the Texas Property Tax Code for Grand Solar LLC. This is another project that before December 31st, the local school district has entered into a 313 agreement with these folks. They now want to come and put this solar project in Hill County. The exact scope of these things, these are getting smaller. They're not the big ones we were seeing, several thousand acres. But that being said, they're still going to be on our county roads. And as I have advocated many times, if they're coming, they have a right to use the road the same as the general public does, the same as I do, the same as you do. And you know exactly what these solar farms can do to a road overnight, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage. So to entice these folks to enter into a road use agreement with us, I recommend that we go forward with looking at a tax abatement agreement under 312, give as little as possible. And actually the offer on the table is under what we would normally agree to. And working with Mr. Mike Dixon. So nothing's finalized yet, but the question is first, if we're going to create a reinvestment zone, we have to have a public hearing and post notice of that public hearing. I'm recommending that we hold a public hearing regarding this issue on the 28th day of March, 2023 at our next regular commissioners court meeting.
You know, the man who talked a while ago, they sent me a deal on what all the roads up there. There's 2 trips they're going to make with a trailer that is 90 feet long, is 17 foot high, 12 foot wide, and weighs 300,000
pounds.
How many trips?
2
trips.
Hauling that crane in and out of
I mean, it's, no, this is.
it's the crane.
Whatever,
Okay.
electrical stuff that they have.
Transformers.
But I mean, there's, I don't know how many.
I'm gonna tell you, these guys, I'm not bad enough. It's just the nature of what they do, the amount of weight they have to bring in. You see these, you know, like down South Abbott and that.
The weight wasn't, it's 200 people they got working for, go in and out, at least twice a day and some doing work. That many cars on the ground.
Destroys them.
Where are these projects?
One of them,
Woodbury Highway.
well, one of them that's Ash Creek is up there. The other one, Grand Solar 10, is southeast of Hubbard, about 890 acres southeast of Hubbard. The other thing is reinvestment zone. So that creating a reinvestment zone is the first in this process if you're going to do a 312. Years ago, we'd make big reinvestment zones, not anymore. I want those things shrunk down to the footprint. Because the deal you cut, you make a reinvestment zone. Say we do this and we make it twice as big as it needs to be. Next time they come in, they can ask for the exact same incentive for that because you have to give them the same thing you gave them the first time reinvestment zone. We got burned on that one time. That won't happen again. We will shrink these investment zones. I will tell you right now, NextEra wants to come in right now. And they're asking for a 45,000 acre reinvestment zone. I'm not willing to give it to them. And I've instructed our council economic advisor, Mr. Mike Dixon. And he agrees. And so there's a phone call in there waiting on me after this talk NextEra. I'm sure they want to understand what my objection is. My objection is tailor it to what you need. I'm not going to give you the free will.
45,000.
Yeah.
That's just process.
So we're trying to understand that, look, a lot of our community doesn't like these projects, and I get it, but they're coming here, whether you like it or not. And we account for 15 to 17% of the tax bill. We give as little as possible to get them to the table to get a road use agreement. We're not giving them breaks to lure them here. That's not the case. But they can cause way more damage to roads than we can afford to fix in 10 years worth of your tax dollars. We have to lock them into road use agreements in order they have a duty to repair those things illegally enforceable. There's other ways we can go after them, but none of them are nearly as good and nearly as strong as getting them into a road use agreement. So I'm going to ask that you guys set a public hearing on the creation of a reinvestment zone pursuant to subchapter C, chapter 312 of the Texas Property Tax Code for Grand Solar 10 LLC. Okay, and the motion is second. That hearing will be set for the 28th day of March 2023 during a regular meeting of the Hill County Commissioners Court. I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 16 is going to be the same thing, but this one's going to be just north. They say Woodbury, but it's kind of just really a little northeast of Peoria. But and that's pursuant to Texas government. I'm sorry. Discussion or action setting a hearing regarding the creation of a reinvestment zone pursuant to subchapter C, chapter 312 of the Texas Property Tax Code for Ash Creek Solar LLC. Again, I'm simply asking for setting the public hearing on the 28th day of March 2023 during a regular meeting of the Hill County Commissioners Court.
Ash
Creek. Yes, sir. I was unfamiliar with that name as well. I don't.
Was just south.
Yeah. So anyway,
This is the one that between Peoria and Woodbury.
that's what I think. I may be mistaken on that.
Closest one is Jack Brown,
Maybe they got the creek.
1313.
I may have my areas wrong too. I didn't have as much coffee this morning as I wanted to before I got here.
1330. Yeah.
So let me double down on that before I say where the location of Ash Creek Solar is. Let me check that. I'm pretty certain there's 4 projects running right now, and I'm trying to keep them all straight in my head. 2 of them are coming to you for 312s. The other 2, they're not far out. These are all entities that got 313 agreements before December 31st, 2022, when the 313 sunsetted. I don't expect a whole lot more after this because I'm not aware of any more after these 4. But these are 2 of them, and the other 2, whether they come forward or not, is dependent on if they're willing to come to the table and play ball when it regards to the roads. So.
And we might should look at $20,000 a mile, which is what the one that is closing down in my precinct, and it's a wide road.
I would
and
like
20,000 a mile.
I keep saying I'm going to do this and I haven't because it's been 3 years, it turns out. I throw around a number that the average cost of graveling a mile of road in Hill County was $26,000. I thought we did that 2 years ago. No, that number was 2018. Yeah, I think you're right too. And what I need is some assistance. I keep trying to get to it and I don't. But when I say gravel a mile of road, I'm not talking about just the gravel. I'm talking about the amortization of the truck, the maintenance on that truck, the labor, that means the salary, the benefits, the fuel. You've got then the motor grader and the man that runs it and the salary, maintenance, fuel. That's how we calculated last time. So the roller, the water truck, each individual, what's the calculation? And then means test that, not use FEMA's numbers, use FEMA's categories. And what does that actually cost us? To make good decisions, we have to have good data. And we've been collecting this data in Cartograph for some time. I really appreciate you guys. I can tell you by Googling, or not Googling, sorry, querying Cartograph, where every load of rock is gone in the last 3 years, where we spent, how much time we spent on roads, how much money we spent on it. That data helps us make better decisions. We know where we've been, what we've been. And when it comes down to this number, I'm not arguing at all. I think that's a great idea. I just want to make sure the number we've got is the correct number, or at least not as old as 2018, last time we did it.
That's the one on 1330. That's a road I chip sealed 3 years ago.
It's like you might get a paved road out of it if that's what you want. Yes, sir.
We have to be 2 months, so we need to one for 3 months, so that we use that data on where.
Oh. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Great idea. So anyway, that's the idea. It's just trying to know what our costs are. So when we go into, if it was, no offense, I'm not picking on the jail. Back in the day when the jail used to have spare room and we had inmates come in, that was always, what did it actually cost us? Well, when you do the math, it's more than you think it is. And it's like, what does it cost to gravel a mile of road? What does it cost to maintain a mile of road? We see one cost because it's the money going out, but there's actually soft costs built into that because we already budgeted for the manpower and we budgeted for the equipment. We have those, but they all have a cost associated with them, as you well know. So all I'm advocating is let's get an up-to-date number on that. So when we put this down, we know that we're not reaching into the taxpayer's pocket, that we're protecting them like we need to. So anyway, thank you for that. That's a good point, and I appreciate it, Commissioner. All right, we have a motion and a second on this one. I've talked so long, I can't remember. I do. All right, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 17, ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Texas Government Code Chapter 551071, the Hill County Commissioners Court will convene into executive session to consultation with the attorney regarding contemplated litigation. Ma'am, thank you for showing up today. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate you.